Good evening and welcome to Biz RoundUp. I'm Chamod Fernando and we at our television bring you a collection of business highlights. Let's have a look at the headlines. Economic Transformation Bill will strengthen the country's economy, President says. Sri Lanka tourism completes the target of 1 million tourists. Government aims to relieve the working capital issues of Sri Lankan airlines. Now the news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the forthcoming Economic Transformation Bill will provide the institutional framework for economic growth driven by non-debt creating foreign exchange inflows and the export of goods and services. President Wickremesinghe said this making a special statement in Parliament on Tuesday.
In the past, Sri Lanka's economic growth was dominated by the non-tradable sector. During this period, particularly post-war, the economy expanded, but tax revenues and exports as a share of GDP declined. The capacity to service debt continued to diminish. To reverse the trend, we must transform Sri Lanka into an economy where growth is driven by non-debt-creating foreign exchange inflows. Exports of goods, export of services, and foreign direct investment must be the leading drivers of growth in the economy. In parallel, the fiscal, monetary, state-owned enterprise and other reforms must continue in parallel to ensure that fiscal and external buffers remain robust. A combination of strong revenues and robust foreign exchange balances are critical to ensure Sri Lanka's capacity to service the debt. The Economic Transformation Bill embodies all of these critical factors. It provides the institutional framework to support the growth of exports and FDI in the economy. The bill also provides the macroeconomic targets that will enable continued economic stability and sustainable, inclusive economic growth. Purposeful implementation of measures incorporated in the Economic Transformation Bill will create the required economic conditions that enable Sri Lanka to truly benefit from relief created by restructuring or debt.
Speaking further in Parliament, President Wickremesinghe said that the government aims to achieve a high growth trajectory of 7% GDP per annum continuously for the next 2 decades. He said that Vietnam has been able to multiply their GDP by 4 times by following the same high growth trajectory, and the necessary policy changes must be implemented to achieve the feat and make the future generation wealthy.
What Sri Lanka requires now is a high growth trajectory. A high growth trajectory of 7% GDP per annum. It may be high by Sri Lankan standards. We have stayed at 4 and 5. But Vietnam and all have showed that you can go at 7. If you do 2 decades of 7% growth, our GDP will go from about 85 billion US to about 350 billion US. 4 times. So are we always going to stay poor? Our policy is to stay poor. Shouldn't we have policies which will make us rich, not us, the future generation rich? In 2 decades, we won't be there. They will be there. We have to make them rich. So that is certainly what we should follow. And I ask this House and all political parties to get into a high growth policies and let's compete with each other on that. We can't go with low growth. We can't go on this journey any further. Therefore, while today is a major landmark and cause for celebration, it is by no means allow us to be complacent as a nation. The successful conclusion of the official debt restructuring should give us the confidence and encouragement to move forward on this path of economic recovery towards the goal of a prosperous, inclusive and sustainable economy, a high growth economy with a minimum of 7% growth per year.
Sri Lanka welcomed its 1 millionth tourist last week, signaling a significant recovery for the tourism sector after facing multiple challenges in the past few years. Just to make the significant occasion, Sri Lanka Tourism has organized a special welcoming ceremony at the Bandar Naik International Airport featuring true Sri Lankan hospitality and cultural performance.
The latest data released by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, the country has received 91,666 tourists during the first 25 days of the last month. And the number of arrivals for the date during the year was 988,445, with an average of 3,667 daily arrivals. Comparing the first 5 months of 2023 figures to benchmark year 2018, Sri Lanka saw a declining pattern continue through the months. For instance, in January 2024, Sri Lanka welcomed only 208,253 tourists, and it was below the forecast as well as the number of arrivals in the same month of 2018. In February, 218,350 visitors have arrived, and in March it was 209,181 arrivals. The month of April has recorded 148,867 tourists, and in May we saw 112,128 visitors. The forecast by the Tourism Development Authority for the off-season June is 148,695 tourists. However, analysts suggest that this target was difficult to achieve based on current trends. They pointed out that from January to May, Sri Lanka has consistently missed its tourist arrival targets.
The Sri Lankan government has infused 5 billion worth of equity into Sri Lankan Airlines. This effort aims to relieve the airline's working capital issues experienced in the first 4 months of 2024. According to the mid-year fiscal statement released by the Ministry of Finance, this equity contribution was crucial to support the airline's ongoing cash flow problems during the early part of this year.
The Finance Ministry highlighted that the financial constraints of Sri Lankan Airlines have led to operational disruptions. Given the government's fiscal limitations, it has become infeasible to continue injecting equity capital into the airline. In response, the government has decided to divest Sri Lankan Airlines to attract new funding from investors and ensure the airline's financial sustainability. The call for bids or requests for qualifications was initially released in October 2023 and extended several times, closing on April 2024. Currently, 6 RFQs submitted by bidders are under review. To make the airline more attractive to investors, the government has decided to transfer $310 million worth of local loans guaranteed by the General Treasury to the government itself.
Stay tuned, we will return after this commercial break. Welcome back. Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri has announced that Sri Lanka's successful debt sustainability process with bilateral creditors will provide the nation with an advantage of approximately $17 billion. The minister said this speaking at the Presidential Media Center recently.
Minister Ali Sabri emphasized that this development will significantly facilitate successful negotiations regarding international sovereign debts. With guidance from the International Monetary Fund, Sri Lanka appointed Lazard as the financial advisor and Clifford Chance as the legal advisor to restructure the debt. Minister Ali Sabri said that these efforts have resulted in a sustainable debt repayment situation, gaining an advantage of approximately $17 billion and numerous other benefits. The minister added that this milestone is expected to aid in ongoing negotiations with international sovereign bondholders. The debt restructuring must adhere to an IMF set timeline, reducing the total debt burden to 95% of the GDP and limiting current interest payments on foreign loans to 4.5% of the GDP.
State Minister for Finance Shehan Semasinghe announced that all uncertainties surrounding Sri Lanka's debt sustainability have been resolved. He said that with it, the public debt to GDP ratio is expected to be reduced to 95% by 2032. With the gross financial requirement lowered to 13% and foreign debt servicing reduced to 4.5% between 2027 to 2032. The State Minister made this announcement during a press briefing at the Presidential Media Center on Tuesday.
The State Minister highlighted that despite the complexities of debt restructuring for a middle-income country like Sri Lanka, significant progress has been made. The agreements include a grace period from 2024 to 2027, allowing the country to use approximately $5 billion for the benefit of its people. Additionally, Semasinghe also highlighted the positive economic indicators resulting from the current economic management approach. The State Minister added that inflation has decreased from 70% to 1.7% and the interest rate for one-year treasury bills has reached 10%.
The Committee on Public Finance has approved the Telecommunications Amendment Bill aimed at revising the Sri Lanka Telecommunications Act. The approval was granted during a committee meeting chaired by MP Dr. Harshadi Silva at the Parliament premises recently.
The meeting saw the participation of officials from the Attorney General's Department, the Ministry of Technology, the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission and other key institutions. The committee chair, Dr. Harsha De Silva, said that amending the Telecommunications Act is crucial to keep up with global technical trends. Dr. De Silva noted that the amended bill introduces a competitive mechanism for telecommunication frequencies aiming to create a fairer market for consumers. It also includes 3 new types of licenses in addition to the existing ones, allowing infrastructure providers to be licensed and strengthening the powers of the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission. Additional measures include provisions for the security of undersea telecommunication cables and enhancements to the regulatory framework. The committee chair emphasized the need for Sri Lanka to leverage advancements in telecommunication technology through updated legislation.
Stay tuned, we will return after this commercial break. Welcome back. Cabinet Corps spokesman and Minister Bandula Gunawardena revealed that the Cabinet of Ministers approved a new tariff calculation formula for renewable energy projects in the country. The minister said that this decision aligns with the Sri Lanka Electricity Act No. 20 of 2009 and its amendments at the post-cabinet meeting media briefing on Tuesday.
The minister emphasized that despite the Cabinet's previous approval in 2023, for a variable tariff system, only a few developers have signed the agreements. He said in order to address this, a committee was established with representatives from the Power and Energy Ministry, the Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies Ministry, the CEB, the Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority and the CBSL. He added that according to the committee's recommendations, the Cabinet approved the proposal presented by Minister Kanchana Wijesekara to accept the new tariff calculation formula and implement the proposed tariff revisions. The minister claimed that the new tariff system aims to provide a fair and attractive rate for renewable energy producers, ensuring that investment in green energy is both viable and profitable.
The Welfare Benefits Board has disbursed a total of 11.6 billion rupees to the bank accounts of over 600,000 beneficiaries in the transitional and vulnerable categories for the payments of June 2024. The President's Media Division said this in a statement released to the media recently.
The statement said that this marks a step in the first phase of the program, where eligible beneficiaries in the vulnerable category received 5,000 rupees each from July 2023 to March 31, 2024. Those in the transitional category received 2,500 rupees each from July 2023 to December 31, 2023. It said that the Welfare Benefits Board will extend the payment period for special allowances under the Aswasama Welfare Benefit Payment Program until December this year. As part of this initiative, a special allowance was disbursed for June 2024, with monthly payments of 5,000 rupees each to be continued from July 2024 to December 2024 for beneficiaries in the transitional and vulnerable categories.
The Sri Lanka Export Development Board, in collaboration with E-Gravity Solutions, conducted a seminar titled Smart Solutions for Agricultural and Aquaculture Exporters at the EDB premises last week. The event attracted over 45 participants from the agriculture and aquaculture industries, aiming to educate them on the advantages of integrating smart technologies.
The seminar highlighted the importance of adapting advanced technologies to boost productivity and sustainability in these sectors. Key topics covered included solar power systems for on-grid and off-grid applications, solar-powered water pump systems for irrigation, and smart weather stations providing real-time environmental data. Participants were also introduced to innovative smart soil moisture and nutrient control systems, humidity, temperature, and pH monitoring devices, automated irrigation systems, and energy-saving pump controls. The event showcased remote plant monitoring systems, smart greenhouse solutions, IoT-based monitoring systems, AI-driven soil management technologies, drone-based fertilizer applications, and farm management software. The seminar also addressed technologies for safe perishable transportation, transport data loggers, and specialized monitoring systems for aquaculture farms.
With that, we wind up for today. For this and more, subscribe our channel on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. See you tomorrow with the State of Business at 7:45 p.m. Take care and good night.